Yesterday was WWDC19. That's Apple's huge developers conference, and they announced a ton of things that will impact podcasters. I will tell you exactly what you need to do now. Hello and welcome to another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. Yep, we were right. WWDC 2019, only, 15 years or 14 years later, Apple has finally come along and said, hey, we've got some really new things talking about podcasting. And man, oh man, are the podcast-aware Twitters and Facebook groups and Discord channels and Slack workspaces and everything. They were going wild with speculation leading up to the event. And the keynote event was yesterday. 3 hours long? Something crazy like that? Well, maybe not quite 3 hours. A little over 2 hours long. Saving the best stuff podcasting for last. Man, we're still going crazy afterwards. So, lots of things to talk about on the program because I want to give you, the working podcaster, some specific advice of what you should change if you missed the event, if you missed the keynote speech for Apple's WWDC 2019. I have the highlights of what you need to do. So grab yourself a pen, grab yourself a pencil or a paper or whatever you need and write this down, because the first thing you need to change right now about your podcast due to the announcements that were made at Apple's WWDC, the first thing you need to change right now is nothing. That's what I have written down here. Nothing. Now, not that there weren't big announcements made. There were big announcements made. But you probably, asterisk, don't need to change anything. Yeah, you really don't. While as cool as the news was, and as excited as we podcasters were, and still remain about what this means for us, you, the working podcaster, don't need to worry. And the reason you don't need to worry is because this is not the first time you've heard Apple's making changes, right? We've been talking about this for some 20 months or longer. Now, it's just coming to fruition. So there are some cool things, and I want to talk about those cool things that I heard about. There's 3 interesting things from WWDC that I think are of interest to podcasters, but again, you probably don't have to do anything. Listen on, and you tell me whether that's the case or not. Or actually, don't tell me. Just go do it. If you need to make an adjustment, maybe to one of these things, go for it. All right, here they are. I think the biggest thing, and I talked about it yesterday on the program, we've been speculating quite a bit about it, is the breakup of Apple Podcasts. The breakup of iTunes, which finally happened. Very tongue-in-cheekly. If you watched Craig, the announcer at WWDC, he was very self-effacing about iTunes, the fact that it was a bloated pile of crap. It's kind of what he said. And so, good riddance. They are now breaking up iTunes for both Mac desktop as well as mobile software, iOS, as well as the new iPad OS, which is new. No more iTunes. When you upgrade to whatever the number is, which they are calling Catalina, is the new update name. I think it's iOS 13 maybe, or Mac OS 13. It will no longer have iTunes. You will not see that. Instead, you will see Apple Music, which is the primary use of what iTunes used to be. You will see Apple TV. That's their new offering for video-type services. Makes sense. And then Apple Podcasts. That which we have had on the iOS platform for a while now will be coming to the desktop platform. But here's the good news. Here's the non-freak out, and I talked about this yesterday. You've known about this. Links to iTunes.com/whatever for a podcast will continue to work for a while at least, but you should have already upgraded those. They already redirect. You've noticed that when you click your own link that you have on your website that still says iTunes, I'll talk about that in a second. When you go to the URL that pops up, You'll notice that it now says Apple Podcasts in the URL, not iTunes.com. It says ApplePodcast.com. iTunes, Apple on the back end took care of all that for you. I assume you don't have to fix that, but if you do have to fix that. Would you? Because it's only a matter of time before those, whatever servers are handling those redirects, stop handling the redirects. While you're in there, does it really still say iTunes? Really? Seriously? It's June 2019. It has been almost 2 years since we've called it iTunes, since Apple put a big push out there for you to stop calling it iTunes. Now, yesterday I talked about doing something totally different, but if you're not ready to make that big change, at least you can go to your website and get rid of the words iTunes from anywhere and everywhere. Seriously. Been a long time. So that's cool. That's awesome. That's a nice little event. That's a nice thing. It's less confusing for people when you can just simply say Apple Podcasts everywhere. So that's one thing. But I think we're most probably excited about the AI-centric search. Yeah, they announced that they're churning through maybe not all. They're churning through podcast episode content. The actual audio files themselves, the MP3s. They're churning through and listening to those, doing machine learning transcription, AI-powered robots in the back room are writing down every word you say. Ooh, privacy wonks freak out. And they're using those, they plan to use those to make Apple Podcast search better. Which isn't going to be hard to do because Apple Podcast search has sucked for a very long time, like forever. But now, instead of relying just on words, actual words found in titles and author tags dumbly, in theory, the new search results for Apple Podcasts, which isn't out yet, but in theory, when it's released, Apple Podcasts should be searching the actual contents of the audio. So that's kind of cool. Again, you need to do nothing about this, podcaster, because what are you supposed to do? The idea is to search the words you're actually saying, so you still have to say words. Okay, maybe you want to be a little more strategic in your wording, but I don't know that you do. In all honesty, I mean, it's smart to make the kinds of content people are searching for, so sure, there's some intelligence you might want to use, but don't try and think about keyword stuffing in audio. It's just that's not going to work out very well. Probably the most exciting thing to me, other than that, second on my list of excitement, is what I saw on Apple Music, which I hope they translate to Apple Podcasts. In the new Apple Music, again, not out yet, when it comes out, it will, if you choose, display the lyrics of the song you're listening to. By the way, Amazon Music Player in my car has been doing this for a long time. But now Apple Music is going to do that, displaying the lyrics to the songs you're listening to, again, if you choose. That, to me, is an obvious open door for podcasts. I think it's even better for podcasts. Maybe it's a complete transcription. Of course, you will have to provide that, podcaster. Don't rely on the machine interpreted stuff. That's not going to cut it. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just a better way for us to do our in-episode show notes, not the ones that go on our website, but actually inside of the episode itself on those devices. Maybe there's an opportunity for us to do better things there if, in fact, Apple decides to support that. Now, I don't know that that's happening. I'm just speculating that might actually happen. And that's what's got me all jazzed up. So again, what do you have to do now that Apple's made these announcements? Nothing. Probably nothing. Unless you need to do something. And then go do something. If you need help doing something, why? Get in touch with me. Because I would love to help you, your business, your podcast grow and take advantage of all the new things coming down the pipe. Because that's what I do. Email me, evo@podcastlaunch.pro. Go to podcastlaunch.pro to see a list of all the services we offer our clients. And I shall be back tomorrow with yet another podcast pontifications. Cheers.